Okay, so I have this list I've been working on, well, for the past couple hours, for the what writers can learn from in certain name. And it kind of occurred to me, I don't think I've done a video on Vinland Saga before, or an audio, because I hardly call what I do videos, I just call them audios, or think of them as audios. And I just wanted to do one because I think it's an awesome anime, as well as an awesome manga. Mainly an awesome manga because, well, I've read there's more of the manga to read than there's of the anime to watch, and I really have no idea where to start with this one. Vinland Saga, it's like historical fiction. It's kind of like I sometimes think of it as an epic, a Norse epic in some regard. Excuse me. It's well, it has themes of revenge and redemption in it, which I love, because those are two themes that I find very attractive. Because I love seeing characters who've done messed up things trying to redeem themselves, or people getting revenge. That's one of the reasons I like Shield Hero. And like there was lots to love. Like I love the first opening song, especially those lines. I paid my dues. I sold my soul. What is there left for me when I've given up everything? Or at least I think that's how the lyrics go. And that was in the opening. And it perfectly summarizes Thorfinn in a way, at least in the beginning. Because, spoiler alert, he lost his father, he wanted revenge, and in the process he kind of hollowed himself out to get it. I mean, he never really got it. Again, spoiler alert. But he had to do some messed up things, and he always justified it as it was to get revenge for his father's murder. And yeah, he's had to kill people, do messed up things that will haunt him till the day he dies. Actually, that's not even a guess. It does haunt him. He has nightmares as an adult about what he did as a kid. And he's very unconventional for a Viking because he travels around with Askeladd and these guys in the anime. They're a bunch of Vikings. He doesn't fight like a Viking normally does. Most Vikings use axes and swords. This guy uses two daggers in the beginning. He later transfers to using his fists in a fight because he's more or less renounced violence. He's kind of like, you ever seen the Solomon Kane movie? It's kind of like that. He renounced violence in a way. Which kind of sucks because Thorfinn is supposed to be part of this culture of, well, I wouldn't say the culture that Vikings come from is violent. They were a violent aspect of the culture. Actually, the culture wasn't that bad from what I understand. Vikings were just a part of it. And it's kind of like that old Razor Fist thing. I forget what, a quote or whatever. There's not a party that shitheads and assholes don't show up to. Every group has an asshole or two in it. So, the Vikings were the shitheads and assholes of the Norse people. Slavers were the shitheads and assholes of America. And white people in general in some regard, but we more or less purged them. Point is, this doesn't really speak negatively to the culture that they came from. And the battles in this manga are epic, in my opinion. You see stuff like Thorfinn have his shoulder dislocated, fighting a guy who's carrying a huge log and just throwing it around like a mace. Or trying to club him with like it's a club. You see him at one point, he actually cuts off a guy's finger who's charging out with a sword, puts one of the daggers in his mouth, and he carries the sword and uses it to decapitate a captain. Like, that's the only time I ever remember seeing him use a sword. Or, well, in real actual fights. When he was a kid, he did, like, mock fights with the other kids of the village he was in. But that was it. And it's not just Thorfinn I find interesting. The antagonist of the show, Askeladd, or I think he falls under antagonist. I just think he's a tragic antagonist. I see a lot of similarities between him and Thorfinn in some regards. Well, not similarities, but there are... Like, they have this weird kind of father-son relationship, which is awkward on the grounds that Askeladd killed Thorfinn's father. So... yeah, not the best stability relationship to start with. Askeladd, he's like kind of an asshole, but he's like the fun kind of asshole. Like he runs a band of men who rape and murder whenever they're not in battle, and this includes members of their own party. One guy called another guy fat. He didn't apologize, so he ended up fighting. And the guy who was called fat, he killed that other guy. So they're not the most likable people. Well, actually, no. Thorkill is kind of likable, but he's not in the same. But he's not in Askeladd's band. But most of them are kind of scummy. And Askeladd himself doesn't even like them. He actually admits this when they betray him, and he starts killing some of them. But yeah, Askeladd's probably like he's like a tragic antagonist in a way. He also tries to mold and shape Thorfinn and another character in a certain way to make them better. But because Thorfinn is so blinded by rage, he can't see that. I know the good thing about this manga and anime is it does what The Last of Us Part 2 tried to do. This is what Weaponized Nerd Rage and a friend of his, Cham, said. It did the whole theme of everyone is a piece of shit, but they did it right. Not their exact words, but that was kind of the point, and I tend to agree with those beautifully brilliant bastards sometimes. And by that I mean those two, not Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog can take a long walk off a cliff. Like, they kind of threw away any loyalty I felt to them. But the action scenes are great. There's some romance, a little. What's going to suck is the ending. I can guarantee that, because if you know anything about how that journey went for the real-life Thorfinn, it's going to be heartbreaking to see. And it sounds like it's getting close to it in the manga. So yeah, I've kind of started buying some of the mangas. They come in like book 1, book 2. So far I have 2 of them. And I'm still not done with the first one. I got these months ago. I should really get around to reading them again. Maybe after I get the Elric book, like the one that's coming in the mail. Anyway. Yeah, like the main 3 characters I think are the most interesting to me and kind of funny to follow. Oh wait, there was this one thing I forgot to mention. Askeladd is, and I was kind of getting to this, but I got sidetracked. Like I said, he's a lovable asshole. Like, he can be a piece of shit. He owns it. Like, yeah, I'm a piece of shit. I run a band of pieces of shit. What of it? But he has that charisma to carry it and make you like him in a certain way. Like, he was talking to this guy, and it turns out the guy had a spy hiding behind a banner. One of his men, who's like his right-hand man, he threw a spear and pretended like he was drunk and it was an accident. Askeladd goes, "Hey, now, careful, you almost hit me." And then the guy that Askeladd was talking to pulls back the curtain to reveal the guy that he had spying on them had been skewered with the spear. It was really good. Like, the banter between Askeladd, Thorfinn, and his right-hand man is really good. I actually kind of like that dynamic between them. Like, there's... Like, Askeladd and his right-hand man, they're friends. Askeladd and Thorfinn, you don't know what to make of them. I think he recognizes on some level that they do have this father-son dynamic, even if it is a perverse one or a messed-up one. And his right hand is kind of like, well, not a friend, but he's not Thorfinn's enemy either. And these are the only 2 he has any kind of... that I see him actually get along with in some regard. Like, the other ones I don't think I've ever seen him interact with. They usually, they either cheer him on whenever he's trying to kill Askeladd in a duel, but they do it in a derisive manner. Sometimes, like, yeah, kill him, go on for it, kid, do it. And it's very condescending in some way. But, I think Bjorn was the right-hand man's name. That might have been it. It's been a while since I've read it or seen the anime. But, yeah, it's kick-ass. It's really good. But, yeah, back to the thing. The main 3 characters you really should pay attention to are Askeladd, Thorfinn, and Thorkel. 2 of whom were actually real-life people. Thorkel was like a giant. Not an actual giant, but he was really tall, so he was kind of like me. Freakishly tall, only Although I imagine if I met him in real life, he'd probably make me feel like I was normal sized. Shame he's dead. But yeah, those are the main three, and Bjorn to some extent. If that's the guy's name, I cannot remember the name of Askeladd's right-hand man. But I want to say it's Bjorn for some reason, who has a couple of good moments. Like, on 2 occasions, he takes a berserker mushroom and goes berserk. Not like the guy in black armor in a manga that's probably never going to be finished, which sucks because I want to give it a try, but I refuse to read it until it's finished. But that's beside the point. Oh, and there's also the fact that it's now being made into a Netflix adaptation, apparently, which, that is infuriating. Like, Netflix bastardizes things. Why would anyone in their right mind let them touch anime? Makes no sense. There I am going off topic again. Yeah, it's just like, it's historical fiction. I sometimes like that, seeing fiction in history and just seeing them bring these characters from history to life. That's one of the reasons I used to like Assassin's Creed, till it got schlocky and not the good kind. And yeah, there's good fights. There's this one good fight in the anime on board boats. That one was really good, where you see Thorkel and Thorfinn's dad find some people. And his dad is kind of a different person from who you see in the beginning of the afterwards in the beginning. Because he was a cold motherfucker. I'm not going to lie. He was really cold and, well, not callous, but stoic, I guess. He could be as ruthless as the Fets in some regard. And, yeah, just really good action. That's what I really liked about it. And just seeing these, well, sometimes 3-dimensional characters. I really don't know how to best convey the dimensions these characters have, but they're not 2-dimensional, I think. Askeladd is, well, he's a Welshman, so he automatically has some interest for me. He also has some kind of family connection to Artorias, who was one of the real-life inspirations for King Arthur, supposedly. Another one, and I'm heavy spoiling here, so if you were hoping for no spoilers, I'm sorry, you came to the wrong video. This is the one time I cast caution aside and go headlong into the spoilers. But yeah, that's all I really had to say. If you haven't seen or read it, I recommend it highly. Like, if I had to give it a rating, 4 out of 5. Or 4.5 out of 5, or 5 out of 5. Hard to really say with me. Depends on my mood usually. But it's great. It's fun to read. It's kind of edgy in the beginning, which I like. I like edgy stuff. That's one of the reasons why I liked Goblin Slayer initially and Rise of the Shield Hero. They were kind of edgy in the good way. But other than that, there aren't any complaints I can give. I mean, the Thorfinn sometimes kind of confuses me. I don't know whether to root for him or, well, actually, no, yeah, I kind of root for him either way. Beyond that, that's all I can really say. Just, if you haven't read or watched it, give it a try. You can find the episodes on YouTube, I think. There was actually, a couple of months back, I used to watch the full season on YouTube. I don't know if it's there anymore because YouTube is a bitch sometimes with their just randomly taking stuff down. Although they probably have a reason for taking the anime shit down. For copyright reasons, I'm assuming. And if you're a reader, I recommend the manga especially. Like, if you just want to find out if you like it, just go online and find it. If it's still online and they haven't taken the sites down with it. If not, get Vinland Saga Book 1 by... one second. Kodansha Comics, KC. It's made by Makoto Yukimura. Like, I know some people say anime and manga is overrated, but there are a few exceptions to the rule. I consider this one of them. But then again, that's just me. I'm kind of biased on this. So yeah, have a nice day, and remember the game was rigged from the start.